Hi there, Kim Willis again. My first Facebook Live for it's been a month, more than a month. I was doing multiple Facebook Lives every week up until this month, up until I don't know, mid-August, something like that, and then I stopped doing them. Why? I got busy. And with other projects that I deemed to be more important than doing Facebook Lives. Another thing that I've noticed with Facebook Lives is that the reach has dramatically reduced, and Facebook is obviously turning the dial down, not giving the live broadcast quite the advantage that they had before. So that's another reason. But I still believe in the power of video. And recently I've recommitted to my YouTube channel, my YouTube strategy, because that still works pretty well. So video works great. So does text-based content. Anyway, that's not what this is about. This one is called The 3 Things I Learned When I Had My First $20,000 month. 3 things I learned. I'm going to give you a bonus. It'll be 4. All right. I'm going to give you 4. But I learned a lot more than 3 or 4 things anyway. But I've just picked out the key advantages that seem important to me now, looking back. I've had time to reflect on that experience, my first $20,000 month. I couldn't believe it. And I couldn't believe that it happened less than 3 months after I started doing this online thing. It happened quite quickly. And I'd like to give you a hard luck story and say, year 6, I finally had my $20,000 month. Well, yeah, so sometimes I'm envious of those people that have the real sad story about how, how tough it was for them, years and years and years, couldn't pay the bills and all the rest of it, and then finally they had a breakthrough. Whereas with me, it happened quite quickly. But that doesn't mean to say that I haven't had struggles. I had struggles before then. I had a lot of self-doubt and so on. And then after that, like a year later, I had stopped working. And there's always struggle, right? It's the hero story thing. There are going to be obstacles, plenty of obstacles. And if you're not prepared to, take them on board, well, you're not prepared to handle those obstacles, well, maybe running a business isn't the right thing for you. So there are always obstacles. I faced an obstacle this week, and I sorted it out, overcame it, and kept moving on. So whether you're experienced and you've had a lot of success as I have, or if you're just starting out, doesn't matter. You're going to have obstacles, and you're going to have to overcome them. So anyway, enough of that. Let me get started. Here's the first one. When you engage directly with people, your results will be better. That's a big thing that I learned. So when I got started in 2006, okay, it's a long time ago, so you could call me a veteran now, but I was a newbie. I didn't have a clue about the online world. I had an email account, and I'd seen a few websites and things like that, but I was an offline guy. I wasn't an online guy. I had zero interest in the online world, except that I could see that there might be a good way. It might be a good way to learn. If you acquire some skills, it might be a good way to make some money. And I fancied the idea of working from home, and I could be there for my kids when they came home from school and all of that. So and travel advantages. Live remotely, live away from home if you want. It's part of an adventure, which is what I'm doing now. I'm now a digital nomad. I've been doing it this way for several years. So, you go through different stages in life, but got me away from the point. I've got a cold, so I'm a bit fuzzy. In fact, I didn't think I was going to do this Facebook Live. But anyway, so one of the things that I learned was that when you engage directly with people, your results will generally be better. So what does that mean? Well, we don't, back then, it was a big ticket item that I was promoting, and, I could have relied just on email, generate leads. Okay, I was generating leads. I was shown how to do it using paid ads. but I also had a small warm audience in place before when I joined this program. So I'll get to that in a minute. But I could have just sent emails to these leads and just fingers crossed, hope for the best, and I would have gone broke. Simple as that. Email marketing is great, but not for big ticket, not for high ticket. No. You need to engage directly with people. If you've got an offer that is somewhat substantial in nature, it's a significant offer, it's more than an ebook, a lot more than an ebook or something like that, you're going to need to engage directly with people. So in the age, back then, social media wasn't a thing, but now, okay, social media is definitely part of it, is now definitely part of it. But back then, all I did was that I called people, I phoned them, because to become a lead, they had to fill out a form, okay, and and one of the form fields was their phone number, asking for their phone number. Unfortunately, at least half of them gave me a legitimate phone number, right? So I was able to call them. Now, was I comfortable calling leads? No, it terrified the living daylights out of me, but you know, you do it. I did it anyway. So, but what I discovered after doing this for several weeks is that you know, contacting people directly on the phone is powerful. It's powerful. It's the next best thing. It's the next best thing. After other than a face-to-face meeting, I would say the phone would be the next most powerful thing you can do, calling people on the phone. In the age of social media, okay, we don't necessarily have to call people on the phone. We can do a voice call, we can do a Skype call, all sorts of new ways of doing it have opened up. But back then, it was just the phone. So that was number one. All right. Now, number two is, I just got written here, do the double down and do it regularly. What's that mean? Well, when you face an obstacle, you got two choices. You can recoil from it, right? You can recoil from that obstacle, suck your thumb, sit in the corner and suck your thumb and basically quit. And some people play the big BS game. They buy their own BS. They don't officially quit from that thing that they joined, but because they don't want to admit failure. But mentally, they have quit. They've run away. It's the old flight or fight syndrome. So you can either fight it or you can flight. You can run from it when you face an obstacle. It's up to you. Your call. I chose to fight. So I doubled down, and I did it regularly. Every time I had a bout of stinking thinking, I'd double down. I would double down. Yeah, I would. And I've been doing it ever since. And sometimes it doesn't mean to say that sometimes I didn't feel like quitting. I think, oh, why am I doing this? I'm crazy. You know, you ever had those feelings? I'm crazy. I need to, oh, gee. I think I just need to do something else. What's that bright shiny object over there? What's this bright shiny object over there? And it rarely works. It rarely works. But look, double down. Double down. Most of the time, that's what you need to do. You need to double down. You need to fight back and say, to hell with it, I'm going to keep going anyway. Doesn't mean to say you won't tweak your strategy a little bit here and there. A lot of people are using the right strategy, but they're just executing it very poorly, and they won't admit it. But they just keep going. Sometimes they keep persevering. But it's like a bird caught in a house. The bird keeps hitting its head against the window, the closed window, and the bird can end up killing himself as a result of doing that. But he's not going to get out of that house unless the owner comes back and opens the door and lets him fly out, right? So there's all sorts of different ways we can look at this, but you know, you got the right strategy but poor execution. You got the wrong strategy, poor execution. Wrong strategy, great execution. What is it for you? If things aren't working for you, it could be that you know. Sometimes we turn around and blame the strategy, but often when people come to me and I talk to them and I look at what they're doing, I say, look, the strategy seems sound to me. It looks good to me. I bet there's a problem with execution, how you're implementing that strategy, because often it's the detail that makes the difference. And I tell you what, most people are loath to get involved with the detail. They are, and that's why they continue to fail. But you've got to double down. That's number two. So number one, when you engage with people directly, such as on the phone or something like that, or even on Messenger, results will usually be better. Okay, that's the first thing I learned. The second thing I learned is do the double down and do it regularly. Be prepared. When there's an obstacle, you can fight or you can take flight. Better to fight. Okay, double down. Number three, it's crikey, I can't even read my own writing. It's easy to make sales with a warm audience. Yeah. So in the first month, I did make money in the first month, but it was only in the last 3 days of that first month, and about half of it came from the ads, half of the money. It was a bit under $10,000. About half of it came from the ads, or actually it was less than half that came from the ads, and the rest of it came from warm audience. So I wasn't shy about that. I was happy to expose people, selected people to the offer and let them make up their own mind. I didn't want to presume that they would think one thing versus another thing about that particular offer. I just thought, okay, I'm just going to expose the offer. So I wrote a list of about 25 people, not hundreds, just 25 people that I judged as being worthy of this offer. And, I ended up reaching out to them, and some of them got involved, and that contributed. The easiest sales that I got came from those people, not from the people that came in from ads. Okay, so that's a big lesson. It's a big lesson. So then you start to think, well, if the easiest sales come from warm audience, what more do I need to do to create a bigger warm audience? Right? Because sooner or later, obviously I ran out of my warm audience quite quickly. But after that, I thought, well, what I should be doing is I should be looking at different ways to build a new warm audience, to build a new tribe of followers and supporters and so on. And hence that's where I got the idea for my group, my Tribe Builder Community Facebook group. Okay, it's partly about how to build a warm audience. How to build a warm audience right here on Facebook or anywhere you like, really. Okay, so it's easy to make money from people who know, like, and trust you. It comes back to that, and say, going right back to 2006 when I was a newbie, I got the benefit of that flowed from tapping into my small warm audience. Right now, if I didn't do that, if I didn't plug into my warm audience in 2006, I wouldn't have had a $9,300 first month or an $18,000 second month. Because in each of those 2 months and the third month, a good chunk of it came from people who already knew, liked, and trusted me. Okay, so that's the third lesson. It's easy to make money from people with a warm audience. Okay, so fast forward to today. All right, we say, well, what we need to be doing is constantly building our warm audience, constantly extending our reach to people, so that we have more of these people who know, like, and trust us. Yeah. So that hasn't changed. And then my bonus point for today, number 4, is become proficient at converting cold contacts into warm or even hot leads. Become proficient at converting cold contacts into warm or hot leads. Yes, that's it. Become proficient at it. So, like I said, I was using advertising in tandem with this warm audience method that I started with. And cold advertising produces leads that are cold leads, essentially. They might have been warmed up a little bit when they landed on the capture page and they read a little bit there. That might have helped to warm them up. But essentially they're cold leads. and presumably you haven't established the know, like, and trust factor with those people. So in my situation, as I said, I used to call the leads. I used to phone the leads. So what I learned was that there are a number of people. Many of the people that I spoke to, they weren't exactly warm towards me, all right? Sure, they made the inquiry, so they obviously had some sort of a problem that they needed to get fixed. But the fact is that, they had doubts. They were perhaps a bit suspicious, not often hostile, but that they weren't warm and overwhelmingly nice towards me, right? So after doing this for a week or two, I decided that I had to try a different method when I was talking to them on the phone, different techniques that I could use to warm people up a bit better. Okay, and I started using those techniques, and I think that contributed to my result in the first month, in the dying days of the first month, because that's when I made those sales. I didn't make any before then, and so I did all these little made all these fine-tuning changes, and some of them worked, some of them didn't work, but the ones that did work, well, obviously I retained those. And I just kept doing it. And I found that you can warm cold people up on the phone if you use the right technique. It comes down to technique a lot of the time, and confidence, obviously. But if you've got the right technique, you should have good confidence anyway, because you know it's working, okay? So if you become proficient at warming people up, even people you don't know from a bar of soap, then your results are going to be better, no doubt about it. So let's look at the effect of that, using that kind of approach or method on a social media platform such as Facebook or something like that. Okay, I do the same thing. Okay, I don't make phone calls anymore. It would be rare, relatively rare. I'll do voice calls on Messenger or something like that. Yeah, I do those. I usually do several of those a week. But I don't sort of ringy-dingy one, get on the phone and, dialing people and all the rest of it. I tell you what, there's something wrong with this Facebook platform, because when I've done Facebook Lives in the past, the audience is, there are people jumping onto the call straight away or within a couple of minutes, and that's not happening. And I noticed that the last time as well. There's some kind of a delay, and I don't know what the problem is. So Facebook Live is definitely becoming... definitely less attractive than it used to be. I just say that as an aside. But no, I don't care. I don't care, because I don't rely on any one strategy to get, to build an audience and all the rest of it. So I don't really care. But but for posterity purposes, because I will repurpose this video on YouTube and on my blog, etc. So I want this. I want the message to be good, strong, quality. So fast forward to today, we've got us in the age of social media. How might that using that way of thinking manifest on a platform such as Facebook, Twitter, or any of the platforms really? Well, the way you would do it, and certainly the way I do it, and I've been doing it heavily this week, is to engage properly with people using the Messenger tool, okay? Do it properly. Do not just start pitching people straight out of the gate. Don't be so impatient. Be more patient. This is about building relationships. And sometimes you can turn one of these relationships into a lead first time you have a chat with them. More because they're leaning forward and they're hot to trot. And I had two of those situations yesterday, to tell you to put you in the loop there. But there are other people that you think have got potential that I'm chatting, that I think I've got potential. I'm chatting with them on Messenger, but I resist the temptation to pitch them straight off the bat. I resist the temptation because I'm about building longer term relationships anyway, and I know that if I keep doing good work every day, some of them are going to be ready and want to talk to me about business, and others are not going to be ready, or maybe they'll be ready next week. It doesn't have to take months or years. I'm talking days or weeks, right? So just be patient, goodness sakes. Be patient, take it, be smart about it. Be smart about it and become a source of value. And then you start to build the trust. Okay, so I've had one guy yesterday, he asked me for comments on his website. Okay, this is a guy on Facebook, just a new friend. He doesn't know me from a bar of soap and vice versa. But we had a bit of a chat about marketing and, different things that we're both doing. And I told him that, I'm a content guy, I'm a copy guy, copywriting and stuff like that. And so then he asked me for an opinion on his website and the copy on his website. And I sensed that he had a few concerns about that, so about his website. So I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I will. I'll have a look at it and then I'll come back to him with, if I think there's some things that he needs to do, I'll share those with him, and not in a hypercritical way, but in a helpful way. And we see what happens from there. Okay, so, and he will appreciate that. And I'm a great believer in the law of reciprocity. So sometimes, or quite often, you help somebody. Well, it disarms people. They become more receptive, more open to talking with you and learning more about your business and maybe how you can help them, or how I can help them. Okay, so the same thing with you. You've got you're meeting people. You've got new friends, let's say on Facebook or somewhere else, new followers, even on LinkedIn or something like that. It's all about relationships. That's it. It's number one. And some people are great at building relationships, opening relationships and warming them up and et cetera in the offline world, in the traditional world. You meet somebody face to face, you shake their hand, and you're real comfortable with that perhaps. But when it comes to platforms like Facebook, you change. There's something happens and you're not quite as cuddly as you are in the offline world. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you an idea. And so we have to do the same sort of things, but it requires a little bit of technique, a little bit of skill, and before you know it, they're eating out of the palm of your hand. You got to learn how to do it. Anyway, that's enough of it. So just the summary. And number one, when you engage directly with people, your results are going to be better. So that's what I found. That was the first lesson that I learned when I had my first $20,000 month. Oh, by the way, our first $20,000 month happened in my third month. Okay, so I was fortunate. It was, in fact, in Aussie dollars, it was $27,000. Okay, a bit less in US dollars, but still, 27,000 in your third month was pretty good. I was over the moon, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you, I'll give you the bad news. In the fourth month, it dropped. Okay, so that's it. There's no such thing as onwards and upwards. No, it's not a continuum. It's ups and downs and ups and downs. All right, and that was in December. So that was November. I had a drop. I had a better month in December. I had a bad month in January. Right, so this is only 4 or 5 months after I started. So I had all those great months early on, and then after that, I ran out of my warm audience. My warm audience was giving me a good chunk of it, and the ads were picking up the rest. And then in January, the ads stopped working for some obscure reason, right? And I didn't have warm audience anymore, so the sales bombed on me. But then I bounced back in February with a $20,000 month, and then I had a few more bad months or up and down type months. But then by October, November, I had a $41,000 or $42,000 month. Wow, that's awesome. So yeah, but ups and downs, that's it. Okay, so do the double down. That's number 2. Do the double down and do it regularly. So every time you're faced with a setback, you just decide, all right, it's either fight or flight. I'm going to fight. I'm doubling down, right? Number 3, it's easier to make money or make sales with a warm audience, people that know, like, and trust you. And finally, number four, become proficient at converting cold contacts into warm or even hot leads. So that's basically it. Now, I've got a report. You might want to get hold of it. We're talking about leads. Well, look, since those early days, I've learned a ton of different ways. I've learned so many different ways to generate leads. So I decided to put together a video report, and it's called 32 Hot Ways to Generate Leads. 32 strategies. Now, some of those strategies may not be relevant for you, but if half of them are relevant, wow, that's awesome. So if you want that report, 32 ways to generate leads, 32 hot ways to generate leads, just let me know. Just say something below, and I will make sure you get hold of that. All right, this is Kim Willis. Kim Willis without an audience, and that's bull, because I know I would have an audience. So there's something wrong here. Nothing much I can do. And here they are. They've just dropped in now, just as I'm freaking closing the call. Here they are. I'll just give the welcomes. I'm sorry, but I've only just seen your names now. So we've got Ryan. G'day, Ryan. How you doing? Good to see you. Frank, my mate, Frank. G'day, Frank. Haven't spoken to you for a while, mate. Herb. It's Herb. Good on you. Hey, Herb. We were talking yesterday in my group, actually, about Facebook Lives and what's been happening there. Tara. Hi, Tara. I don't think I've seen you on one of these calls before. Or Tari. Is that the right way of saying it? Brandon. G'day, Brandon. Good to see you. Good to see we've got some new people here. Diane. Good to see you again, Diane. Brandon. G'day, Brandon. Fred Gillen. Yeah. Penny. Good to see you again, Penny. Yeah, you want okay, 32 hot ways to generate leads. Yes, that's a good report. A video report, like I said, it's that video report is it was actually compiled by me a few years ago. All right, so it's not like a hot off the press video report, but I reviewed it. I reviewed it a few days ago, and I thought this is still pretty relevant. There's a lot of good techniques in there. And like I said before, even if only 10 of them or half of them or something like that are relevant, great, you've got yourself some new ideas. Okay, so I've got 32 of them, and just look at each one of them and say, okay, which of these strategies would be a good fit for me? And that's basically it. So yeah, that's a good little video. It goes, I think it's about half an hour or something like that. So I don't just sort of whip through them. I give you a bit of detail, a little bit of help on the way through with each of those strategies. So if you want that video, just say something in the comments, and I will make sure that you get it. All right. So isn't that incredible how here I was talking away for 15 minutes or whatever it was, and I didn't see anyone's names here. Only just in the last 2 or 3 minutes. And that happened to me before and the time before that. How can I engage with people if I don't even know if anyone's watching or who's watching? So there's something wrong with it. Well, at least for me, there's something wrong with the Facebook Live platform. They need to fix it because it's just not good enough. All right. Well, guys, I'll finish the talk. So if you've just joined me, watch the replay. I'm sure you'll get some value from it. 4 things that I learned when I had my first $20,000 month way back when in 2006. But there's some good lessons there, and I'm sure there'll be some good ideas that will come out of it for you, because those ideas I think are solid. They're evergreen. Doesn't matter whether it was 2006 or 2019 or 2022. Those concepts or lessons that I shared are completely relevant today. Completely relevant. Yeah, completely relevant. I'll just see if there's any comments before I move on. Right, Brendan, Herb. Yeah, thanks, Herb. Great, mate. And Fred, must be dependent if we comment. Yeah, maybe. It shouldn't be, because in the past, even if someone just joins the call, right, no comments, it would still show up for me. it would still display, and I'd see everyone's names, and then I could give them a welcome at the beginning. But I can't do that now because it's like I'm flying in the dark, you know, and nothing. It's a bit frustrating, and it sort of diminishes the value of doing a live, right? One of the reasons why we do a live is so that we can interact with people who are attending the call. So if you don't know who is on the call, it's just completely blank. It sort of negates the value of doing a live. It'd be easier for me just to record this lesson and then just upload it and post it on my personal profile or in my group or something like that. It'd be easy to do that. So anyway, we'll monitor it. We'll see what happens in the future. I hope the problem rectifies, real soon. So, okay, folks, I think that's about it. Any other comments here? So let me see. Well, no, that's it. Okay, folks, well, look, coming into the weekend for me, it's Friday, Thursday night for many of you, but the weekend beckons, and I've got a big day on today, so I really need to get back to doing the grunt work, and I'll leave you with these thoughts that I've shared. And great to see you on the call. And for those of you who are watching the replay, I appreciate you. And if you could leave a comment, that would be fantastic as well. Okay, have a good one. Bye bye. Oh, don't forget. Don't forget the group, the report. The report, 32 ways, 32 hot ways to generate leads. It's a video report, and I'm happy to give that to you. Okay, bye-bye.